Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Now, here's your host, Aslan Hajavandi.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Aslan. You know that already. He's Corey Clark, senior writer for warchant.com. He's on the Twitter machine, Corey_Clark. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just lying tells you're doing fantastic. Everybody, we've been going through many settings trying to tweak and make Corey sound as crystal clear as he possibly can, but I've failed us as the director of digital media. One of these days, I will get things right, but in the meantime, you got Corey, and it's free. So what can you complain about?
Man, I'm trying. I will talk as soft as possible.
It's not your fault, man. All right, let's go ahead and do what we always do, and that's give thanks to the good folks at For the Table Hospitality. Their three great locations provide many good times for all in the Tallahassee area. They're over College Town. You have Township to choose from. You have Central, and you also have Madison Social. You can't go wrong with any of them. I can almost assure you of that. All right, Corey, let's start this off by something you tweeted last night. I didn't see this. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I think I need to start following these guys on Twitter. I don't follow many I don't think I follow any ex-players. I don't follow any current players. I don't even follow Coach Taggart. I just follow the official Florida State football Twitter account. But I'm going to say this, man, and I don't care what anybody says. He's my favorite Seminole. I mean, I'll always love Jameis. I love Kelvin. But right now, nobody beats Jalen Ramsey. He's just on another level right now.
Yeah, read that tweet so people can see what you're talking about.
All right, here we go. So Tim Brewster tweets out fire emoji, DB alert, fire emoji, nothing but real hashtag facts, 2 exclamation marks, come get some truth, 2 exclamation marks. It's a graphic of Jimbo Fisher in a Texas A&M warm-up, and he's flanked by 4 players on his left, 4 players on his right. It says Fisher's defensive backs, 189 total NFL starts, $8,426,868 is the average earning per player. It goes on to name Marquez White, P.J. Williams, Kevin Johnson. Everybody's like, who the hell is Kevin Johnson? He was a guy that was coached by Mike Elko, who just joined Jimbo at Texas A&M. Xavier Rhodes, Jalen Ramsey, Ronald Darby, LaMarcus Joyner, Terrence Brooks. To that tweet, Jalen retweets it. He didn't teach me not one DB technique. Hashtag come get some real truth. Hashtag go Noles. Which is awesome. Yeah. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there, Corey.
No, it doesn't. Keep going.
Jalen then replies to Tim Brewster and uses absolutely perfect grammar. No, I have nothing but respect for you, Coach Brew. And by no, he means like I know with a K. Know that I have nothing but respect for you, Coach Brew, but don't use me on a poster for a school I didn't go to and for a coach who didn't teach me how to be a DB. Oh!
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. It's not unbelievable. It's awesome.
That's my dog! I love you, Jalen. Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, amazing.
I think a lot of people were saying the same exact thing when they saw that on Monday night. And look, man, it's kind of part of the deal because Tim Brewster was doing all this stuff for Florida State 4 months ago, and now he's that guy for Texas A&M on Twitter all the time. But yeah, man, Jimbo didn't teach Jalen Ramsey how to be a DB. Jeremy Pruitt's the reason that Jalen Ramsey ended up at Florida State, not Jimbo Fisher. So I understand why he would be upset about Tim Brewster trying to recruit guys to Texas A&M using a picture of him. I get that.
And it's super cool that obviously it's the loyalty to the university, man. It's not, listen, don't use me to, create this false narrative that, you're the guy who made me who I am. It's, listen, don't put me on a poster to help out this other school that I didn't go to. Then he also adds, and you had nothing to do with my skill set. I mean, the first thing out of his mouth is like, listen, keep my name out of your mouth if you're trying to promote your new school. And it's amazing. Fantastic. I love Jalen Ramsey. Everybody should love Jalen Ramsey. He should be your favorite Seminole, everybody. It's just really no reason to not to.
That was a very popular tweet with Florida State fans. And again, deservedly so, because Brewster deserved that backlash. You shouldn't be using kids that wanted another school to recruit your school. Why not use – I know we're talking about Texas A&M, so they don't have a ton to choose from. But use like Quentin Coriat or Kevin Smith, somebody like that.
Give me Dat Gwynn. Give me Dat Gwynn.
Dat Gwynn. Anybody that actually went to Texas A&M, don't use what Jimbo did at Florida State to try to sell kids in Texas, as if Jimbo had something to do with Jalen Ramsey getting drafted.
Listen, Jimbo can do his quarterback thing. Jimbo could do maybe, he can do running backs and maybe have Jay Graham hold on to some coattails. But defense, no. I mean, don't use defense. I have no problem. I have no problem. Jimbo or Tim Brewster wants to do that same graphic and have a photo of Jameis and Christian Ponder and EJ Manuel. I got no problem with that. I don't begrudge him. But defensive backs, come on, man. You can't take credit for everything.
And again, I don't think that's Jimbo doing that. That's Brewster doing it, and the kid that's a lot more beloved than Tim Brewster kind of put him in his place real quick. Like, stop that, coach. You stop that. You're at Texas A&M, man. Don't use what I did at Florida State, winning championships, as a way to try to. And what I'm doing with the Jaguars is a way to try to get kids to come to College Station when one has zero to do with the other.
Yeah, I mean, he's the king. He's the king right now. I love Jalen. And the great thing is that he was grammatically correct. And I don't want to be that guy, but I don't know how
it's Twitter. Nobody's grammatically correct on Twitter. No athletes. So it is really good to see. And he took the time to be grammatically correct.
And there's somebody from the Florida State side that tweeted something out yesterday, and it's like terrible. It's not terrible grammar, but it's like it's wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. I mean, can't we have somebody that proofreads these things? Listen, I'm not trying to – listen, my grammar is terrible. I've probably said 5 things that are incorrect already in the first 5 minutes of the program. But I'm not the spokesman for a university. I know it's the athletic program, it's the football team, but little things, like, can we not just have people that are checking these things out? The crazy thing is, there's a group text message with all my friends from back in Mississippi. Jason Ferguson, who I think played for the Cowboys and a couple folks, he's actually from, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Nettleton, Mississippi. So he came back home, and they had a banner for him. And it says, Nettleton is proud of its hometown hero, NFL star Jason Ferguson. And now by banner, it's a 4x6 vinyl PVC banner. But it says, proud of its, possessive, but it's not IT. It's got the apostrophe S, like it is. Like, Nettleton is proud of it is hometown hero, not it's as possessive. It is. Like, come on, figure it out. Sorry.
Also, you can't have a first annual anything. You can have an inaugural something and then a second annual, but you can't have a first annual when it's the first one. That's a contradiction.
Right.
Just a little grammar for people that are going to be creating banners in the next few months or years, folks. First annual doesn't exist.
Right. We tend to rage against big grammar, as Corey once called it. He called it big grammar. Don't let them tell you how to live your life.
Of course we do.
But there are certain times where you got to be on the P's and Q's, man. So, that's a good way to start the day, man, just to see Jalen step up for the program. That's super cool because, again, this is a guy that he actually got the tomahawk. He got the spear tattooed on his body, I want to say. And where did he come from? I mean, I didn't even hear Jalen Ramsey's name one single time until Jeremy Pruitt showed up. And then, boom, he's a Seminole for life, which is awesome. Like, Jeremy Pruitt, worth your weight in gold. Bringing him and DeMarcus Walker into the fold. But it's so crazy how a guy that's so beloved now, I don't even know I'm sure he had an offer, but, that was a guy I think in, December, that wasn't on anybody's radar, and then now look at him.
Yeah, and again, it was just we talked yesterday about Taggart hitting all the right notes. Man, Jalen Ramsey couldn't hit a better note if he had a screenwriter. Because that rubs people the wrong way, the people that still follow Brewster, to see him kind of celebrating Florida State's accomplishments in a way to try to get more players to Texas A&M. It's like, man, Jalen Ramsey doesn't want any part of College Station. That's not where he went to school. That's not who he won championships for. So respect what he did in Tallahassee, and if you need to recruit guys to Texas A&M, try to sell your own tradition from back in the 30s. Get that stuff pre-Wizard of Oz. Get that tweeted out, man.
Pre-color TV. I guess Jimbo and Tim could try to, thump their chest on Xavier Rose. And that's pretty cool. That's a guy that, he was a 3-star or 2-star, whatever he was coming out of Norland.
Xavier Rose wants to be known, wants to be helping Texas A&M recruit.
Right. No, that's fair. You're right.
You know what I mean? I think that's the question that you have to add, that Tim Brewster and all coaches kind of need to think about. Is like, you see these Florida State coaches when they're on Twitter, well, they're tweeting about Derek Brooks and Charlie Ward and Marvin Jones and Jalen Ramsey. They're not tweeting about, guys they coached 6 years ago. I don't think Taggart's going to coach about or tweet about Quentin Flowers. That's not what they do. So, I don't know. I just think it's kind of poor form to be tweeting about guys that you used to coach at your new school as if they're there to be used as your recruiting, recruiting advantage to entice kids. They're not. They shouldn't be enticements. Go sell your own tradition, Tim.
There's a little problem, though, as you pointed out so eloquently, Corey. They can't because they're Texas A&M. And they'll have to think about that for the next, 7 months as they prepare for a season that's probably going to end with 5 or more losses. So good on them. Let's take our first break of the day. It's Wake Up War Chant. We'll be right back after this here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome on back to Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. He is Corey Clark, senior writer for warchant.com. I'm the director of digital media. This show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality, Central, Township, Madison Social. All three of those are located in College Town. Visit them sometime and have some food and be merry. You'll enjoy yourself. All right, Corey. So Jalen doing one good for the team, home team, feeling it. Good stuff. We like Jalen. He's crazy. It's good stuff. Another thing that happened late night on the Twitter machine that really has nothing to do with Florida State, but I just wanted to talk about it because it's weird, is that Butch Jones apparently is going to probably get an analyst job at he was at Tennessee, at Alabama. So Nick Saban just keeps bringing in all these weird dudes.
Yeah, and the SEC is just so incestuous, man. They all coach for each other. They all just go from one school to the other. It's been like that for a long time. So it's like, I don't know, brother Bill Oliver would go from Auburn to Alabama. It's just bizarre. It's weird how they all end up coaching for each other. And good for Butch Jones, man. I can't imagine he'll ever get a Power 5 head coaching job again. But, hey, he still gets to make some money. Good for him. Still gets to stay in the game. I thought you meant he had an analyst job like for ESPN.
Oh, no.
And that's what I really want.
Yeah.
Is to hear him on TV, because that's always entertaining audio to hear what kind of craziness is going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah, I think he's going to collect like $8 million from Tennessee as part of the buyout, and whatever he gets on top of that would mitigate it. So, I mean, the analyst job is like what? They pay him like $25,000, $30,000, which is bizarre. Like, they'll fight and kick and scream for $5 million a year when they're a head coach. But to be an analyst, and then they have the whole buyout cushioning, and they're like, whatever. I'll put in all these crazy hours, and I'll just get $30,000. That's not a problem. It's bizarre, man. He'll
probably get more than that because it's Alabama. But also, I doubt he's going to be doing like the grunt work that like a videographer would. That'll be interesting. I mean, he'll be one of 180 on that staff. 450.
Sounds about
Who knows how many people Alabama has working for him? But good for them. Another one to add to the 500 they already had.
Right. I think Florida State added a quarterback assistant or a GA of something of that sort. So Willie Taggart continues to bolster his not recruiting class. I'm sorry, but he starts to bolster his coaching staff right here, adding guys, adding pieces to the puzzle, if you will. Freddie Knighton will be an assistant quarterback coach. I don't think he's going to be one of the 10 coaches on the field, but Taggart continues, man, to add pieces and get everything rocking and rolling. You got a story up on warchant.com right now about, just, I guess, the continuing process of him getting sold into Tallahassee and a couple of things he said, last weekend. Anything catching your eye, or not your eye, but your ear rather, just about the way that the energy that he's kind of bringing, or the way his outlook is, I guess, for the spring so far?
Well, the one thing that surprised me when I was actually listening to the audio that you got down there at the Cape Canaveral was that I guess they're going to be practicing in the morning. That's what he does?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. Many people know I'm not exactly a morning person. So for them to be practicing at, I assume 6 in the morning, I don't know about that. I'm not a huge fan of that. But he seems to like it. That's probably what he's always done. Wants to get the kids up and at them earlier. I guess maybe that gets them to bed earlier too, which is probably a good idea. lets them get on with their day as college students. But I'll be honest with you, Aslan, I'm not a huge fan of 7 a.m. practices. I'll just go ahead and say that.
You and I both. Yeah, he said, early bird gets the warm up. The only thing that's kind of weird is
he didn't say, what was awesome is he didn't say the early bird gets the worm. He said the first bird gets the worm.
Oh, yeah.
Which I've never heard before, but I think I like better.
It makes
because there could be a bunch of early birds. And if you're all getting worms, then what's the point of being the first one up? But if the first bird is the only one that gets the worm, well, now we're on to something. Now I see what he's going for.
Next level philosophy from Willie T. It's that whole "I'll see you later," but no, not if I see you first. You can't see me later if I actually see you first. He's playing chess while we're all playing checkers, man. It's great the way that he's bringing all this sort of large scale and bringing everything to Tallahassee, obviously with the practices. The only thing that's kind of weird is, and I think Jimbo did this, and I'm not just to defend Jimbo here. I'm just saying it makes more sense. I feel like Jimbo's whole thing was, I guess, kind of practice, when you're going to play sort of a thing. But I guess, spring, you're so far away from actually playing a meaningful football game that it's the suck. I mean, let's be honest. The whole point of the chase is for it to suck, I would imagine. This is not supposed to be, I know he's talking about lifting up your teammates, let's coach each other up. We don't have to be jerks to each other. But it's creating an uncomfortable situation so that, they really see what you're made of. Because they can look at all the tape they want. And obviously Willie's pulled some really big sort of themes from what he saw on tape, namely the fact that this team didn't give a crap about one another. Maybe this is the way you do it. You finally, you drain it all out. You drain the swamp early in the morning.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it, and it's also it's a nice challenge for a college kid. It's an obstacle. It's a grind. It's a like I am now in my 40s. I don't like getting up in the morning. It's not fun. It's a test, and it's a good test. And making those kids get up at 5 o'clock in the morning is just another way for them to prove how much it means to them. All those mat drills back in the 80s and 90s, those were in the morning. That's not a fun way to wake up, but they go around the rest of your day. But it's a good way to connect as a team because you're all going through it. You're all having to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Nobody likes that. You only get up before the Roosters. There are Roosters in Tallahassee, right? Probably. We got to have Roosters somewhere.
When I lived in Mississippi, my neighbor had a rooster. It woke me up every.
Oh, I bet you heard them all the time, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, roosters are the worst.
Woke me
but anyway, I mean, they're good. What are they good for? What do they do? They're just ugly and gross.
They help make eggs. They do their part, right?
They certainly have a purpose. It's just they're not really all that aesthetically pleasing. So the ears are the eyes. Anyway, this isn't Wake Up Roosters. This is Wake Up War Chant. So I'll get back to Florida State. I think there's a method to that madness to get them up early. What I wonder, though, is will it continue once the season starts? Because you're right. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't understand practicing at 7 in the morning and getting them used to being in full sweat, full effort at 8 a.m. when they won't play any games at 8 a.m. It seems like you'd want to get your body clock ready to play for when you actually are going to play, not at 9 o'clock in the morning. If Florida State was ever going to play at 9 o'clock in the morning, it would have been this past year against Louisiana Monroe, and that didn't happen. So 9 a.m. morning start times aren't going to happen. So I would think that maybe that's just a spring practice thing, right?
Yeah, again, I think it's boot camp, man. This all designed to suck. And he's not going to say that. He's not going to explicitly say that, but I think it's like you said, it's to build camaraderie. We've all woke up. We all have to wake up at this time. We're all hungry, or we all just had the same breakfast, and we have to go do this. Whereas opposed to fourth quarter drills, some guys might have had class, some guys might have had the day off from class, some guys might have had a tutoring session, some guys might have came from rehab, some might have come from lifting. So this is like, all right, here we go. We're all on the same level. Now the next hour and a half, let's just grind through this because we're going to be stuck in a fourth quarter game against Clemson, or maybe even on Labor Day night where it's going to be an uncomfortable situation. And you can't quit on it. You can't take the easy way out. You have to show up, and you have to put all that you got into it. So, I mean, it's everything, like all the right notes, like you're saying, and it's such an important thing to not do anything, despite the positive things we have to say about Jimbo, despite the good things he did for this program. There's really no reason to try to replicate anything he did other than win, right? And by win we mean that 3 or 4 year window, really, when it comes down to things. So why not blow all this sort of stuff up? Because I think anything that would resemble the previous regime would kind of maybe give a semblance of, like, comfortability with the kids, and they might not be as receptive to what's going to be a wholesale change, man. I mean, it's, Greg Fry didn't say he was going to do a wholesale change, but I think maybe he won't, but big picture-wise, the offense is going to look totally different. So why do anything even remotely like the previous regime?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be doing a whole lot like Jimbo did, but I also don't think that's like just because they want to be anti-Jimbo, they're going to do all this different stuff. That's just, I think Willie has his own way of doing things and his own method, and that's what he's doing. It's not just to be the complete antidote to Jimbo. I think it's to be just who he is, and this is who he is, and this is what he's always done and what he believes in. It just happens to be the exact 180 degrees away from the guy that was here before him.
Yeah, and we'll see how it continues as the chase goes on. By the way, somebody on War Chant seemed to have a little bit of taking exception. They're like, how come all this content keeps coming from posters on the message boards and not War Chant? They won't let us out there. And it's not just us. They won't let any media out there to the chase. So all these little vignette videos that you're seeing from whether it's Walt Bell being mic'd up, or I think yesterday it was Coach David Kelly for the wide receivers, this is being done by the team. So we're not out there because we're not allowed to be out there. Once we are allowed to be out there, even if it's at 4 o'clock in the morning, Corey's going to wake up and Corey's going to be there and he's going to be crowing.
Because that's how much I care about everyone. I will be there. In fact, weirdly, speaking of Jimbo, he did have one spring, he had practices in the morning for some reason. I can't remember what it was, but he did have practices in the morning. It might have been 2012, that spring. And he did have practices at like 5:30 in the morning, and he allowed us to come out and watch. I think he did it just to see who would actually show up, because we kept complaining that we never got to watch practice. So he opened it up one time, and sure enough, I was there, buddy, with my Diet Coke in hand, 5:45 in the morning.
Yeah, early morning practices won't be a problem because we now have to wake up to do the show every single morning. We'll be right back.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Welcome on back to the program. It is Wake Up War Chant. He's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for being here. We do appreciate it. This show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 great locations in College Town, Central, Madison Social, and Township. Don't forget, Township tomorrow will be Wedstein Day. Wedenstein. It's Wednesday, but instead of Zday, it's Stein, because at 7 o'clock, they'll feature a select draft beer. Sometimes it's 850 from Proof, or Deep Reef Dweller IPA. A liter of that goes for half-liter price. So check it out every Wednesday over at Township. All right, Corey, so you're not the fan of the ologist, titles that we keep giving all these people on TV that let us know what March Madness is going to look like before the brackets are unveiled. And the very latest one that happened, which was earlier this week, and this doesn't factor in, obviously, what happened with, I guess Duke lost to Virginia Tech. Is that what happened? That really happened, huh?
Yeah, Virginia Tech beat them in the final 4 seconds. Yep.
That's crazy, man. So
it's crazy that we didn't know it at the time, but Florida State's win at Virginia Tech might be their best win of the season. That win and the win against North Carolina, who at the time I didn't think North Carolina was all that great. So I think those are Florida State's 2 biggest wins, and if they get in the tournament, which I think one more win and they're in for sure, those 2 wins are going to play a huge role in them getting into the tournament.
Yeah, right now Joe Lunardi has Florida State as a 7 seed in the Midwest bracket. He has Xavier as the number 1 seed, but he even said that he doesn't think that 2 Big East teams will be a 1 seed, and he has Villanova and Xavier as potential 1 seeds. He did have Duke as maybe being one of them, but with them having lost, that probably affects it. But right now he's got Florida State as a 7 seed playing St. Mary's, which would be a 10 seed. He did move Florida State down. I don't know where he had them. I guess maybe a 6 seed, obviously. But he did factor in the loss to NC State, which was a 20-point loss. He did mention that for him, the ACC, he feels good about what he has in the brackets. If the only 2 teams that he feels are bubble-ish would be Syracuse right now, which is, I think, first 4 out. And then he actually has Louisville as one of the last 4 in. So nowhere. And then now he also has this other level, this other tier, Corey, called last 4 buys, which I don't even know what that means. I guess.
Geez.
I guess
what does that even mean?
You avoid the play-in game or something, maybe. I really don't know. But I should know because I have a sports talk show that I do with Corey Clark right here on ESPN 97.
And you're talking about it right now.
Yeah, but I really don't know. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't claim to know everything. I hope you don't think I try to claim I do either. But Florida State is safely in the field right now. But obviously, this is all fluid. It could change if they were to drop the last 2, but it seems like barring disaster, which would include them losing to Boston College at home, they're fine. They'll be in the tournament, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I wonder, though. So, I don't know how many people expect them to win at Clemson on Wednesday night. I don't. Certainly not the way they played the last 2 or 3 games. Looking back on it, their game against Pittsburgh was almost as dumbfounding as their game against NC State. When you see that Pittsburgh in their next game had 7 points at halftime against Virginia. And against Florida State, that Pittsburgh team had 42. They were up by 11. I mean, that just shows you how bad Florida State's defense has been of late. So anyway, the point of all that is, it's no guarantee that they're going to beat Boston College at home. Boston College has a kid. They have 2 kids that can really score, 1 kid that can go for 45. In fact, did go for 46 against Notre Dame. The way Florida State seems to defend, there's no guarantee that kid won't go for 50, or 38 or whatever they might do. And if Florida State loses on Wednesday, well, all of a sudden there's going to be a ton of pressure on them Saturday at home. Now, they should still beat Boston College at home. But, man, Boston College has beaten Miami already. They should have beaten Miami down there last weekend. They just completely fell apart in the final few minutes and let Miami win at the buzzer. But Boston College is a capable team, a decent team. And if Florida State doesn't play well, if Florida State plays like they did against NC State and Pittsburgh, they're going to lose to Boston College. So they got to right the ship. Even if they don't beat Clemson, go play well. Make them go beat you. You know what I mean? Make them earn it. Don't let them get up by 15 points in the first half like you seemingly let everybody do that now. But all that said, yeah, the only way they're out of the tournament is if they don't win again this season. Like, they could even lose to Boston College and play on Wednesday night or whenever they would. They'd be playing a good enough team in the first round of the ACC tournament that a win there gets them to 20 wins and gets them in and helps their RPI. But if they close the season with 4 straight losses, man, I don't know. I think they're right on the bubble and they're really sweating, and they're probably on the outside looking in when you close the season with 4 straight losses.
No,
but I don't think that's going to happen. All that said, I do think they'll win one of these final 2 games, maybe both. But I just do. I believe in this team enough to think when it really matters, they'll get there. They're an NCAA tournament team. They're not a great team. They're not a Final Four team. They're good enough to get in the NCAA tournament. They just got to win one more.
I can overlook maybe the Pittsburgh game just because Pittsburgh is desperately trying to at least win one conference game so they don't go, Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions out there. And you're coming off that really emotional win against Clemson. So I can kind of understand maybe you coming out there sluggish in that game. But to have all that time off before NC State and then you look that sort of, toothless in that matchup, that kind of stinks. And then obviously, you factor in that, I don't know. I mean, they got to go to Little John now. We're supposed to feel good about that game. I don't know. I mean, they need to win one game, right? So it's almost, they know that, I would think. And what you fear is they're going to be like, well, shoot, this is not the game to fight. We'll just, we'll meet you back in Tallahassee and we'll take down Boston College and punch our ticket to that thing. So that's the sort of concerns. Like you beat a really good Clemson team and like everything should be smooth sailing now, and then it's not. But I guess that's just the nature of this team with the fact that they got some guys dinged up and there's just no one guy who constantly carries the torch, night in and night out.
And it's the nature of the league. I mean, unless you're the Dukes or Carolinas that get the best players, man, it's hard. Look around, or Virginia, I guess, because they're Virginia. But you look around, everybody's really struggling for wins. Like Virginia Tech's 10-7 in the league. That's what they got to 10 wins. Miami's gotten to 10 wins. Well, Florida State's beaten both of them. So those are good wins. But it wasn't easy for Virginia Tech. You know, they beat Virginia on the road in overtime. They beat Duke on a put back basically at the buzzer. They're really close to being, instead of 10-7, they're close to being 6-11. Florida State's, what are they, 8-8? They're really close to being 4-12. If you look at some of the ones they've won, that's just the nature of this league. And, you know, they're just not good enough to not play well and win. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Like Duke cannot play well and still win, even on the road against a good team. If Florida State doesn't play well, they don't have much of a chance. They're just not good enough in this league, because this league is loaded, and you can't count on catching a team on an off night, because they rarely have off nights against Florida State.
The good numbers right now for Florida State, they're 6-5 against RPI top 50 teams. As Corey mentioned, they are 8-8 right now in conference. They're 19-9 overall. A win either over Clemson or Boston College, or potential round one game in the ACC tournament would give them 20. And being in the ACC and having 20 wins and then 9, you're still going to be sub 500 though, your conference record. But it feels like the RPI probably strong enough.
In the committee says they don't look at conference records. I don't necessarily buy that, but that's what they say, that's not a factor at all. I will say this: if you get to 20 wins in the ACC, you go 9-9 in your conference, and you have those wins against top 50 RPIs, which Florida State does, including a couple really good ones. I just don't see that you're going to pick 63 or whatever it is, 67 other teams ahead of them. They should get in. They should be fine. Again, but if you lose to Boston College at home, and you go in and then you lose in the tournament, and now you've lost 4 straight games, including one at home to Boston College, well, what are you telling the committee? You tell them that you deserve to be in the tournament, that you want to go, that they should take you, that you belong in the tournament? I don't know. But again, all that being said, maybe they come out, Leonard's right about one thing. They usually come out and play really well after they play really poorly. So they're due for a good game, because they played poorly 2 games in a row. They're due for a good game on Wednesday night at Clemson. They might not win it, but just go out and play well. Feel good about yourself again. That's what I look forward to. And if they do that, then Boston College, they should be able to take care of Boston College on Saturday. But if they get blown out again and look listless and lifeless and can't make a dang shot for their life, well, then all of a sudden they're going to go to that Saturday game with a lot of pressure and with not much confidence, and that's a recipe for an upset that can cripple a season.
Yeah, just go out there and look good, man. Look good, feel good, play good, pay good, live good, eat good, die good. Dion.
A lot of goods there. Dion. A lot of goods.
We're wrapping up the program right after this.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You made it through 3 segments. You just got one more, and then you can get back to work. I'm sure your boss is waiting for that to happen. I'm Aslan. He's Corey. It's Wake Up War Chant, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality, Central Township, Madison Social. All 3 of their great locations are out there in College Town. So go visit them and enjoy yourself. Hopefully you will. That's what we like to do. Send you on to good things. All right, Corey, I want to take a real quick sort of detour and talk about my personal life here, man. Not going to get emotional or anything.
Oh, great. Let's do this.
All right, so I live in an apartment, and above me there is, I think, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they have a dog. And this is the most annoying apartment situation I've ever lived in my life. So the apartments have concrete floors. It's like this whole urban industrial chic. It's like an art gallery meets Home Depot. Like the floors are concrete, but they're stained, so they look pretty or whatever. I'm on the first floor. The dog and them are above me on the second floor. And dude, like every single thing that dog does, it's amplified. I can hear it scratching and clawing and clinking and doing everything. And yesterday was the 4th different time there was some sort of leak from upstairs to me on the ground floor. Now they came and sealed it like 2 weeks ago. They're like, "Oh, you should be fine. We sealed it." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, they must have been mopping up there." I'm like, "What were they doing? They dump a whole gallon of water on the floor and then start mopping? That makes no sense." And it's like it just comes down like in a heavy trickle for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then it stops, Corey, and then it just stops. And
what does the liquid look like?
Yeah, there we go. And
what does it look like?
It's not clear, Corey, and it smells a little bit. So I'm a little bit afraid that don't tell me it's raining when you're blanking down my back. Kind of feel like that's what's happening here. I feel like what's happening here. And this is the thing. I don't have a dog. I didn't grow up with dogs. And this is probably way more incendiary than talking about politics. But the way that we worship dogs in this country makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, boy.
Like, sorry, everybody.
Dude, if I were you, I'd go back to praising Jimbo.
Yeah.
I think you got a better shot at praising Jimbo than being anti-dog.
Listen, like my buddies have dogs and I love them, but I don't love all dogs. Just like I don't love all people. If you're cool and you're friendly and you have redeeming qualities as a human being, I like you. Just because you're a dog, I'm not like, oh, it's a cute dog. No, the dog's ugly. It smells. It's stupid. I don't like it. But dogs are not just bad overall. I'm not saying that. I do like dogs. It's just this dog is not.
Some dogs suck.
Yeah. So this is my thing, man. Like, how do I approach them? Because I feel like this is almost like approaching somebody whose kid is being a nuisance on a playground, because nobody wants to hear that their kid is doing something wrong. And people value their dogs just like they have children, fur babies. I'm a dog mom. I'm a dog dad. I have a fur baby. So, like, what do I say? Do I do anything, or do I just literally sit there and let them keep blanking on me the whole time?
And they're literally doing is what you feel like.
I feel
that's like literally coming through your ceiling.
I mean, dude, I don't think there's any pipes that are running in that segment of. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. Just it feels like that's what's happening. Because listen, I probably should have said this in the story. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "That blanking dog," when I heard the stream come down. And then I heard the neighbors upstairs have an argument. I heard the girl say, "I'm sorry, I was busy at class." So I think the boyfriend was yelling at her for not taking the dog out, and then the dog did his thing, which caused that. So it could be, I don't know if it's
So you really think that the dog's pee is coming into your apartment?
I feel like it. It's happened 4 times. I've only been here for a month, Corey. It can't be bad pipes. It can't be, they're not mopping 4 times in a month.
My advice would be that's not really their problem. Like, their problem is that they're soaking their carpet, potentially, or their floor.
There's no carpets, yeah.
But it's the apartment complex's problem that it's leaking onto you. So what I think you can do is finagle your way into another apartment where you don't have a dog making noise above you all the time.
That's what
because it's their fault. That's their problem. That's not like there's no reason to go and talk to the couple because they're not happy if the dog's doing that stuff. But that shouldn't be. It's not their problem that it goes down to your floor. You know what I mean? That's the apartment complex's problem. They need to get that fixed.
Right, but like
is my advice. So I would go to them and leave the couple out of it.
But dude, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, that dog is making noise. At 2 in the afternoon, it's just every time. And we literally live 100 yards away from a dog park. Just take the dog to the dog park. Get the poor thing out of the house and let it roam free. But I think you're right. That's I haven't done anything. I haven't confronted them. I sent an email to the landlord. I'm like, yo, this is the 4th time it's happened, and I feel like it's urine. Please make this stop. Find me another unit in this place. The only thing though, Corey, and we're halfway through the segment. I'm sorry, but I know you're sick of me talking about this. Dude, I don't know what happened, but moving this last time just really took a lot of life out of me. And the last thing I want to do right now is have to move again, even if it's literally down 2 doors. I don't want to have to get that freaking sofa out of my place again, but I guess, I'll have to deal with it because it's my burden.
Maybe what the apartment complex could do, because it is a hassle and they're this is a hassle for you, is maybe they'll pay for your mover.
I don't think so.
To another unit. Maybe you could suggest that. I will tell you, I have a similar story. The last apartment complex I lived in when I was about 28 years old with my ex-wife, and we lived on the 2nd floor, and above us moved in a dad with his 2 daughters and the nanny. And the daughters were homeschooled, or I guess in this case, apartment schooled, which I didn't even know was possible. But anyway, they were so loud, they would run back and forth. It sounded like somebody was bowling 30 frames above us, and it never stopped. And so, and there's nothing I could do. They just were they were loud, and you think, okay, well, I'll have the day when they're not here in the day. You know, they got to go to school at 7:30 in the morning, so I'll be fine. I'll be able to sleep. Nope, they'd wake me up at 8:30 doing their jumping jacks or sumo wrestling or whatever it is what they were doing during their apartment school. So eventually, what I ended up doing was I put my two stools on top of each other, and I put my one speaker from my stereo under there on top, right next to the ceiling, like 4 inches from the ceiling, and I turned it on the local urban station in Atlanta, full bass, full volume, and I would leave for 8 hours. And like, okay, I have to listen to y'all all day, so you're going to listen to this because you don't care about me. I've complained 9 times. You don't care, so I'm going to leave this speaker up there so you can hear this for 8 hours while you're trying to teach them. You know, who could even imagine what they were being taught?
How to solve the hypotenuse of a isosceles triangle.
But what was awesome about that is that I got out of my lease. When we found a house we liked, we broke our lease, but they let us break it because they're the reason we were leaving in the first place, the apartment complex, because they couldn't do anything about the noise, and they never found us another unit. So maybe they'll be forgiving, the apartment complex, and just let you move to someone that doesn't have a dog above you. Because I can understand that, man. You almost dread going home.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hear the noise all the time.
Yeah, man. It literally sounds like there's a rat running around my, AC vents. It's just and it's just all.
Yeah, it's not the couple's fault. They just have a dog. They're allowed to have a dog, and dogs are dogs. But it's the apartment complex's fault that you hear it so much. That it's so amplified, like you said. So get another unit, man. Maybe you'll get a unit underneath a couple kids being homeschooled, a couple 8-year-olds being homeschooled.
Yeah, I'm literally paying.
They apparently have gym class. Their whole homeschool was just gym class for 5 hours.
Oh man, they might be Olympians.
I think the one girl, she might have been a Greco-Roman wrestler, from what I could tell, because it was nothing but body slams.
And then all my friends are like, Aslan, you live in an apartment. What do you expect? I'm like, man, I've been living in apartments for the last 8 years of my life, and I've never encountered anything like this. But I think you actually gave some really good wisdom amongst your funny tales, as always, Corey. So, all right, let's talk some sports.
I'll do what I can, buddy.
Sorry, but that was 8 minutes of your life that I just burdened with my life. I apologize. I really do.
Man, here's the thing. We're going to be doing this show in perpetuity, forever, apparently. So we got to let people in behind the curtain a little bit. It can't just be all Florida State sports all the time. They need to get to know us as people.
Yeah, man, but it's a we do like 44 minutes of content, then we have commercials. We need to stick to, sports. I get it. It's like
stick to sports.
Like,
all
listen,
right, fair enough.
Jeff can roam. Man, Jeff's got to do 3 hours every single day. God bless Jeff Cameron. I could not do 3 hours, man. So, yeah, you can kind of roam and talk about life, but I'll try not to bore you folks with the details of my life. But anyhow, I'm looking forward to sports. Florida State will be taking on Jacksonville University today over in Jacksonville. 11 is now, 25 wins away from the record, 24 to tie, 25 to get it outright. I don't even have they announced who's going to start tomorrow, or today, rather. I should probably have found that out. But there's no
Carp.
Oh, Carp's going to go?
Carp.
So we're thinking are they ever going to lose Florida State baseball, man? I feel really good about this team, Corey.
I think they are going to lose at some point. Probably multiple games. That's just my thought.
Not 67. Not 67.
They probably won't lose a ton as long as their pitchers are continue to pitch like this.
Yeah. So that's really all that can be said about that. But I wonder, I was talking about this with you off the air. What game is it going to be? What game will he get, win whatever 1976 or whatever it's going to be to put him over the top? So he needs 25 more wins. I think people are saying the Miami series could maybe be one of them. I don't know. Have you heard some of the games or the dates people are throwing around? This is an extremely. I mean, I don't know what the right word. This is a record that if he gets this, it's Florida State's record, and it doesn't feel like he's going to lose it unless Augie Garrido goes Ted Williams and gets his head frozen and comes back cryogenically, 10 years from now.
Well, even then, I don't know that Ted Williams can go coach a baseball game. So I don't know if that's going to happen. No, I mean, I know that there's always the asterisk when it comes to 11 because of the 0 in the really important category. But man, that's a really neat record for Florida State baseball to have the all-time wins record that coached at your school and coached for 40 years and has been such a great ambassador. And it's really neat. I mean, it is. It's not going to be celebrated like Krzyzewski or Bowden and then Paterno and then Bowden and then back to Paterno, because those sports are more public. They have much more notoriety than college baseball. But in college baseball circles, what a great accomplishment for Mike Martin to do this. And what I love most about him is for 2 years now he's been saying, "You're darn right, I want the record."
Yeah,
he's not hiding it. He's not hiding. He's not running away from it. He wants the record, and not because he's selfish. Maybe there's a little selfishness in there to have his name with an all-time record like that. But it's because of what it means for the program, and because that is a great accomplishment for the program, and that's a banner that can hang up in Dick Howser Stadium forever. And so I would think there'd be some nice symmetry, and I haven't looked at the dates. I would think it'd be 33, 34 games from now, wherever that lines up on the schedule. But it would be some symmetry if it was Miami, because Miami is where he got his first win. So it'd be pretty cool if he got his record-breaking win against them as well.
The kind of knowledge that Corey Clark can only drop from the top of his dome. So really quick before we go, I don't even know where it stands in terms of who is. So if you were playing trivia and the question was, who has the most victories in Division I football history, and it had like Alonzo Stagg, Bear Bryant, Joe Paterno, and Bobby Bowden, what's the right answer? Like, would you say Paterno?
I think it was Paterno, right? Didn't they give him his wins back because the NCAA went back on those vacated wins? It boggles the mind that Joe Paterno got his wins back. Whether you agree that the NCAA should have been, officiating something like that's more of such a heinous crime, whether that's their jurisdiction or not.
Morality.
They took his wins away, and then they gave them back. Florida State took Bobby Bowden's wins away from some tutor in a music class. I don't know. That seems a little baffling to me. But I'd say Joe Paterno is the answer there. Bobby Bowden is second.
But sometimes second is better than first. Good second show of the week out of you, Corey. Appreciate it as always, man. We'll come back stronger tomorrow. Maybe we'll get this whole audio thing figured out. Everyone, thanks for hanging in there. We realize it's suboptimal. We're trying. It'll get better. But again, it's Corey Clark for free for 44 minutes of the day. Your life is just that much better now.
You're welcome.
Jeff Cameron coming at 3 o'clock, folks. Have a great one.
WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source, knows now is a time of true excitement for Nole fans everywhere. That's why WarChant.com is especially proud to announce its newest team member, senior writer Corey Clark. Combine Corey's expertise with owner Gene Williams and managing editor Ira Schafel, and WarChant.com boasts nearly 50 years of experience covering the team you love. It's Taggart time in Tallahassee, and that means now is the perfect time to sign up for your free 30-day trial. From National Signing Day to March Madness, WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.